Hello everyone, this is Angela from beginninggenealogist.com. How are you doing today? I hope everyone's having a good week and are getting underway with all of your wonderful genealogy projects. Today I want to talk to you about planning your research strategy. You know, any project that you consider undertaking usually is going to involve some planning, regardless of what your interests are. If you are a very good cook, you know that you have your own stash of recipes. Every time you try something new, you're going to try and outline what your ingredients are, what your tools are that you're going to need, and you have your plan, which are your recipes. If you are a person who likes to make clothing, you have a pattern that you follow. A person who is a builder or constructor or architect has a blueprint. All of these are part of the planning. Well, you as a researcher also have a plan, and as you begin to undertake every new family line as a beginning project, you outline your research plan, your research strategy. And this means you're going to outline all of those possible tools that are going to assist you. And I believe basically in creating, every time there's something new, a checklist. A checklist of, in the case of a genealogical project, a checklist of documents that you're going to need, a checklist of the resources that you're going to need, and a checklist of possibly the places that you may have to visit. Now, what kinds of things go on your checklist, and how do you apply your checklist to what you do? Well, keep in mind, you're telling a story. That's the purpose of what you're doing. You're not just collecting names and hopefully going to have tons of names to be able to boast that you have 5,000 names in some sort of family tree organizational chart. You want to tell your family story. The way you're going to get others interested is that hopefully you're going to be able to extract a story from the raw documents that you're going to find. So if you decide that you want to look at your mother's paternal line, you're going to start with, of course, the individuals that you know and start to outline who those people are. If you don't know who the people are, of course, you know your first step is oral history anyway, and you're going to start to collect data to determine who you're going to start to look for. And for every person that you're going to find on those records, create a checklist to see if you've completed as many documents, acquiring as many documents as you can to tell their story. On your checklist should be the following: vital records, birth, marriage, death. Obviously for anyone who's been through a divorce, you would include that among those records to obtain. But you want to get those basic documents for every person and put it on your list. You're not going to fill out your list right away, so don't feel that you have to rush. But at the same time, you're also going to collect census records. If you know a person lived between 1890 and 1985, then you know that there are going to be a range of census years right now that you're going to be able to obtain. So you're going to create a checklist for that person, starting with 1930, 1920, 1910, 1900. You're also going to outline whatever vital records are available. Keep in mind your list will vary. Your checklist will vary from person to person. Your checklist will vary from family line to family line, because there are going to be some restrictions and limitations based upon where the family lived, what the state resources are, when did that state start to collect vital records and make it mandatory to report births and deaths and that sort of thing. There are going to be military records. If there are individuals in your family, male or female, who served in the military, write a checklist or add to that checklist those possible resources to include, which might be enlistment data, separation papers. Become familiar with the form DD-214 if you have ancestors who were World War II veterans, Korean War veterans. Obtain, some of which are online, those enlistment records that you can find, for example, with individuals who registered for the draft. Many of them are online to be able to obtain those, but that goes on your checklist. Local records. Obviously, what is available in one state is not always available in another. For example, if you're researching individuals who had survived the period of enslavement, there's a possibility, for example, if your ancestors are from North Carolina, you have access to a wonderful record set called cohabitation records. They don't exist in every state. Many of my states didn't have any sort of record set like that. So you want to be able to determine for every line that you're researching to create your research plan, that research strategy, create that checklist so it gives you an idea of what to do next. I know I've gone to the archives with certain people who get there and say, oh my gosh, what am I going to look for today? And I'm thinking, wow, they're really using some valuable time that they could have saved by having their research strategy, knowing what they were going to start working on as soon as they got there, as opposed to spending some time, maybe that first 30 or 40 minutes kind of ambling and looking, maybe I'll look up this line of the family or what have you. Stick to your research plan. You will find that you will get a lot of things done. Can that research checklist or that research plan change? Absolutely. It's going to change the more information that you learn. For example, you may find out that someone in the family had a tremendous history. Maybe they worked for some time as a Pullman porter. There's some railroad records that you may want to look at. Maybe you found out that someone was in the military that you didn't know before. Then suddenly that becomes a new dimension to your checklist. The list can change as you acquire more knowledge, so that flexibility is also important. But plan your research by outlining your strategy for every line. And actually, it's not a bad idea for every person. Sometimes the lists are going to be similar with siblings, but then sometimes they're going to be different in a very, very dramatic way. And don't overlook the records that you already have. Don't forget that you have a lot of things around you that are in the house before you set foot out the door, going to the state archives or going to your national archives as well. Anyway, have fun with your research, plan your research, and you will be well on your way to success. Take care. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.